It's time for another edition of Inside Notre Dame Football presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, joined as always by the head coach, Brian Kelly. Coach, an amazing win at Virginia Tech, come from behind victory. You said your team has shown a lot of resolve. What did this specific win tell you about your team's resolve?
Well, first of all, they had to handle the environment, and probably one of the biggest concerns I had was going down there, and Blacksburg is known to be a very difficult place to play, and I thought our team handled themselves very well. It's a difficult team to play wherever you play Virginia Tech, and they've always been close games. But they handled the environment well, and even when they were down late in the game, they were, I think, confident, and I think they maintained their poise and found a way to win a football game on the road against a quality opponent.
Jack Cohn went to the bench, came back for you, orchestrated 2 huge drives. You've only coached him for a short time, but just what's it been like to coach someone that's been so resilient the way he has been?
Well, as coaches, you want guys that have that mental toughness. And when I say mental toughness, sometimes people take that the wrong way. I think what it means is accountability, right? And that people can trust him that he's going to be ready and accountable no matter what the circumstances. And remember what the circumstances are. We took him out of the game early on, and he stayed alert, he stayed in the game, he stayed ready for his opportunity, and when he was called upon, he delivered. And so that builds an incredible trust with his teammates, and as a coach, it doesn't get much better than that.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll break down Notre Dame's dramatic come-from-behind victory over Virginia Tech on Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. Welcome back to Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for this week's game breakdown. Coach, slow start offensively. Defensively, though, your team, I thought, kept you in it a little bit early on. What were you seeing when you went down 10-0?
You know, we felt like we had some good looks, but, we just didn't have all 11 players playing together. And that had been, at times this year, one of the frustrating things. But we have to realize we have a lot of young players. At one time, I think we had 6 or 7 freshmen on the field, and sometimes that needs to be one where you show patience. And I thought Tommy Rees did a great job of coming back to some plays that weren't as successful, but he repeated them, and it got us some consistency on offense that we needed.
I want to ask about one defensive play when you're able to force the ball out at the 1-yard line. Your defense didn't give up on the play and then held Virginia Tech to 3, so it was 10-0 instead of 14-0. Did you feel that on the sideline?
Yeah, there's no doubt. That was a huge play for us to keep them out of the end zone. And it's first and goal from the 1. And you want to talk about resolve. I mean, that's when you talk about really rising up, and I think that momentum really served us well. To hold them 3 points right there was a big turning point in the game.
So second quarter starts, you go to the freshman Tyler Buckner, and for the first time this year we see the entire playbook, it seems like, or at least more of the playbook given to him. What sparked that decision, and then what gave you the confidence to open things up with him offensively?
Well, I think we needed to establish a run game. That was more important. We didn't want to go out there and just start throwing the football all over the place, because one of their strengths was in the back end of their defense. And so running the football was important, so we started with that in mind, and that let's get a good running game going. Because look, if you're running the football and they're chasing Tyler Buckner around, you're going to slow down the pass rush. And that's what ended up happening. We slowed down a very good pass rush by running the football. And then it opened up other things for Tyler to throw the football.
Defense makes their big takeaway with Tariq Bracy and that interception. What did you see on that play?
It was interesting because we had talked to Tariq. He was getting a little bit too high up on the shoulder of the defender and missed a couple opportunities. We told him to just stay below the cut, and he did. Came underneath the route. Great interception, sets up the offense now in real good field position.
4 plays, 29 yards, but the Kyron Williams touchdown, I think every week we talk about it. There's at least one play where obviously it was blocked well, but he took it over at the end. Just how emblematic is that of the kind of player he is?
Well, it's interesting because he told Tyler, give me the ball, because the ball's supposed to go out the other way to Logan Diggs, who's wide open in the flat. But he was convinced that he was going to run through 2 or 3 people, and he did. He wanted the ball in that situation. Tyler Buckner recognized that you give it to the alpha in that situation, and he made the rest happen, getting us into the end zone.
So the Avery Davis touchdown, you still need the 2-point conversion. And that was, I think, one of the more memorable plays of the game. Talk me through how that play broke down and what ended up being an amazing catch by Kevin Austin.
Well, we got kind of caught short-handed. So, Chris Tyree was out. Kyron Williams, was out of the game earlier because of the targeting penalty against him. So both of our 2-point plays included those two guys in it. So we were down. You don't normally carry 3 2-point plays. We carried 2 of them. Our third play was our best 4th down play. So we carried a 4th down play, and they actually went and played zone coverage into it. We're expecting man. So Jack had to keep the play alive, and by scrambling and keeping it alive, he brought Kevin Austin all the way back from the other side of the formation to him, saw him in the back of his eye, and just put it in the air and hoped that he could go up and make a play. And Kevin went up with those long arms and was able to make a great catch and securing the football and the 2-point play.
Second time this year, Jonathan Doris hit the big field goal, 48 yards in this one. I mean, you guys have so much confidence in him, but again, what did he prove to you in another hostile environment, knocking one down?
Well, he proved to me that he can overcome the coach, because I wanted him to, there was a strobe light that was pointed right at him, and I wanted them to take that strobe light down, and so they stopped the game, and I really iced my own kicker. So despite the head coach at Notre Dame icing his own kicker, he looked at me and says, "Coach, let's just play." So I waved off the referee, and we played, and he kicked it despite man. That's just going to go down as one of those, just stay out of the way, Coach, and let these guys play.
Coach, thanks. When we come back, we'll take an even closer look at this game with this week's edition of Icon.
We're in enemy territory, okay? We're behind the lines. Staying together for 4 quarters, 1 play at a time. Locked together. You're Notre Dame men. You know what that means. You've got the traits necessary to overcome anything. It doesn't matter what the adversity is. We're going to overcome it.
We do expect to see some Tyler Buckner here this evening.
Tyler Buckner's coming out.
And there he is.
And that's why he's in.
And he's running it right now, straight ahead of steam.
Tyler Buckner drops back for his first pass. Throws it high and deep down the far sideline to Kevin Austin. Complete. Tyler Buckner's first pass of the night. His best pass of the season. Buckner takes the snap. Keeps it himself. Left side. Touchdown!
Let's get our energy up, dog. Let's go.
Takes the snap, hands off on the end around, drilled in the backfield and dropped at the 28-yard line. Drew White.
Come in and run the ball. Let's go. Burmeister looking downfield. Here they come. On the run. Gets away. Can't get away twice. We gotta keep that thing going. We gotta keep that thing going. All right, let's go, baby. A little juice. Do your job, baby. Let's have some fun. Let's go. Buckner's going to fire over the middle, and that's going to be caught by Davis. Notre Dame with a big strike. Let's go! Quarterback's going to keep it. Trying to bounce out. Now cut back inside. Got inside the 10-yard line.
I love the fearlessness of Buckner as a runner.
Looking to throw it. Fires for the end zone. Touchdown! That one caught by Kyron Williams, and Notre Dame scores again. We need more. We need a lot more. Let's go.
We got to grind in this game. Everything matters. We got to fight for every blade of grass. Let's do it together, man. Nobody's on our side. We're not getting a break. We're going to make our breaks. Let's go win a football game. Let's go.
In the pocket, throws to the near side. Ball intercepted.
Let's go, Frank me!
Hands off Williams across the 10, skips across the 5, keeps his feet into the end zone. Touchdown, Notre Dame. What a run by Kyron Williams.
Hey, I'm him. Don't forget it now. I'm him.
Virginia Tech leading 22-21, going for 2, throws, middle, intercepted by Bo Bauer on the goal line across the 10-15.
That's a good stop right there for Notre Dame.
And with 3:55 left in the game here in Blacksburg, Virginia, 66,000 on their feet. Tyler Buckner, some kind of a lower body issue at the end of the last series, and it looks like Jack Cohn could be coming back into the game to quarterback Notre Dame.
Cole wants to throw. Firing again, and complete.
Jack Cohn comes in sharp after not playing since the first quarter. Throwing dimes here.
Notre Dame knocking on the door. He's going to throw it. Touchdown! Let's go! Let's go!
Jack Cole runs to his right, still running across the 15, approaches the 10, throws back over the middle, and the ball is caught! Kevin Austin!
Wow, what a play, what a prayer, what a catch by Kevin Austin in traffic. Went up and got it like a rebound, looking like Dennis Rodman out there.
Hey, let's go, Jack! We ain't losing, let's go, we ain't losing.
Bringing up 4th down and 1. Oh, what a finish here.
Now Jonathan Dorr for a 48-yarder that would put Notre Dame up 3. Kick is up. It'll have plenty of leg. He nailed it!
Get out of here! Get boys!
For the first time all night, it's quiet in this stadium.
Know the things that we got to continue to work on, and that's fine. But I'll work with this group any day because of your grit, your resolve, your toughness. I'll take whatever we've got. We'll just keep working together every day to get better. That's one of the best victories that I've been around because you just kept playing in all the different pieces. 2 game balls, Jack Cone, John Miller. Get up here.
So Jack, take me back to the Virginia Tech game. You were out on the bench, called upon to lead the team to get that game-tying drive. How were you able to stay ready and come through for Notre Dame?
Honestly, I just focused on doing my job. I mean, I was extremely excited to come back in and get an opportunity to do better than I did earlier in the game. And I just tried to do my job and let the playmakers make plays and trusted the guys in front of me, and they did a great job.
After the game, you were awarded the game ball. Brian Kelly was just so reverential about how you performed in that environment. What did it feel like to get that game ball and get a chance to celebrate in front of your team?
Yeah, it meant a lot to me just to be recognized for that. And I know there's a lot of history here with game balls and great players that have gotten those. So to be a part of that history and tradition is pretty cool.
So there's been a lot of talk about how tight this quarterback room is. I just want to know from your perspective, what keeps you guys so bonded and how important is that support that you guys show one another?
Yeah, I think it's just a room of just a bunch of great guys, and I'm so thankful to be a part of them. I don't think there's many places in the country where you could find a quarterback room that really doesn't have egos and it just wants the best for the team and helps each other out. So it's been extremely special for me, and I'm so thankful to get to know them and just be a part of them.
I know your Notre Dame experience has been a little bit shorter than maybe some of the other players having come here from Wisconsin, but it's a place I know you've always wanted to be. What's it been like in less than a year? What's been maybe the favorite thing you've had to experience at Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's been amazing so far. I mean, just to come here and be able to be a part of this culture and this community. It's a very tight-knit community, and you're just surrounded by the best in the country, whether it's football players, whether it's students, anything you find. It's a bunch of great people, and it's been so cool for me.
This is obviously a huge game coming up against USC, one of the iconic rivalries in really all of sports. To get a chance to be involved with it in prime time, under the lights, what are you most looking forward to going into that game?
Honestly, just playing a great team like USC. I mean, obviously there's a lot of history here, and for me to be able to be part of this history is pretty cool and special to me, and I'm super excited for it.
Jack, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll go inside the play with Irish Intel, presented by TireRack.com. It's now time for Irish Intel, where we go inside the play. Coach, let's take a look at this touchdown run from Kyron Williams here, close to the goal line, about the 10-yard line. Really interesting play design. Just talk me through what the options are here.
Yeah, so Tyler has the option to pull this off the defensive end at the top of the screen. If he comes down really hard, Logan Diggs is an option for him to throw it. Or he can hand it off. And in this instance, he decides to hand it off to Kyren. I think Kyren wanted him to hand it off to him, but as you can see, if he pulls it, he's got an easy score, or he can throw a touchdown pass to Logan Diggs. He took the harder route here, and that was handing it off. But as I said, I don't think he had much choice. I think the captain said, "Give me the ball." But he makes something happen here. 1, 2, 3, and touchdown.
So, Coach, this is the 2-point conversion play that ties the game. Obviously an amazing individual effort by Kevin Austin, but talk me through all the things that take place before to force it into that position.
Well, we ran out of 2-point plays because we ran out of personnel. Both our backs, Tyree, was in one of our 2-point plays, and Kyren's in the other. So we came back to a similar play. We started with Braden to the field. We motioned him across to see whether it was zone or it was man. Here's what happens. 14 starts to run across and then stops and goes back. So at first we thought it was man-to-man, and then he goes back. So we know it's zone coverage. Here's what happens. It confuses Jack. If Jack just stays to the boundary where Lindsey's going, he probably has an easy touchdown. But he comes off the read, he has Kevin right out of the break. But it confused him because he saw the corner running over halfway and then going back, so he wasn't sure what he had. And so he turns this down too quickly, scrambles, but he ends up coming back to Kevin because Kevin gets all the way back across the field and makes an incredible catch going high up and above. Now, he says he was going for Kevin. I saw George Takis in the back of the end zone too, so we're going to stick to his story and say he was looking for him all the time. That's who we should have thrown to in the very first look. He ended up getting to him maybe a little bit later.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this week's episode of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com. It's time now to wrap up this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football. Coach, at the midway point, you just had a chance to have a bye week. What'd you guys do with the bye week to try to prepare for the second half of the season?
Well, I think there's a lot of things on your list. One, you want to kind of look at some of the things that you need to get better at. So we took a day and kind of did a little, self-scout, if you will. Look at some of the offensive structures that needed to get better, defensive structures. So we spent a day doing that on the practice field. We took a day to introduce USC. Spent a day in the weight room, and then gave the guys a chance to kind of catch up a little bit and take a deep breath. They were in midterms, so we're in our midwinter break now. So I think all those things needed to happen, and then we got on the road recruiting. So a little bit of all those things happened during the off week, and I think we were able to check all those boxes.
Notre Dame, USC, one of the best rivalries in all of sports. To have it back after it was not here last year in your stadium, just what's the excitement level going into this matchup? Yeah,
it raises to the highest level. I mean, it's just that traditional rivalry that. Look, you want to be independent, and one of the reasons why you're independent is to play this kind of game. So we're certainly excited. I know they are, and our guys have all their attention towards playing a very talented football team.
Coach, as always, thanks for the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Great, thank you.
That does it for this week's edition of Inside Notre Dame Football, presented by TireRack.com.